Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your live match reaction for Manchester United 1, Fulham 1 at Craven Cottage. We're craving more points and the shine is gone from last week completely. Not acceptable, not very happy, lots to discuss. Do your player ratings, links in the video description. Mark every player out of 10, 6 being the average, star for your man of the match. But look, we need to have a real conversation here. There is some really baffling decisions being made. Ultimately, I want Amrim to do well. We're going to have to be patient. I do not want an Amrim out movement. I do not want to carry on going around this cycle, but that doesn't mean we have to ignore the glaring issues that fans have been talking about all summer. We don't have a midfield. We don't have a goalkeeper. We've got an abundance of number 10s. I mean, have we not just burnt a number 10? Two number 10s. Bruno at number 10 is very good, and Ahmad at number 10 is very good. We're now misusing Ahmad as a right wing back. Bruno is not a midfielder. We just seem to be swamped with number 10s and obsessed with number 10s at the detriment of our attack, our midfield, and the goalkeeper. It's strange. And the shine from last week has completely dissipated based on what we all feared. We played well against Arsenal for 90 minutes and the keeper messed it up. We go to Fulham, we play well for about 20 minutes and then bang average for 70 and totally don't deserve to win the game. We might have won the game if we took a couple of the chances, but it wasn't a deserved, it wasn't a good performance. And the scary thing is, the shine of last week, we know this team can play shit again. Like last week, we were like, Arsenal got a goal from a corner. We played well. They didn't. This week, we've shown that yet again, we can play well against the top sides and then we can switch it off against the so-called lesser sides. And it's concerning because already you can see the new signings can have bad games. It's not their fault. Shesko, not a sniff. May as well have sat on the bench. And Burmo, pretty average again. Cunha, in and out of the game. So we can ruin new signings and we can see that again. It doesn't matter how good they are. We can ruin players in this system, in this team, whatever you want to call it. So look, massively disappointed. I don't think a draw is like the end of the world, but I think it shows the volume of work that we've got to do. And look, we finished 15th last year. We talk about 5th. Some people talk about top 4. That's a reality bite. Of course it is. But we come back to the same things. I want to talk about Bruno. I think Bruno has cost us, but I blame Amrim. The scary thing for me is that how history repeats itself. Because last season, was it second game last season or was it the first game last season? I think it was second game last season. I lost my shit after Brighton. And people were like, what are you doing? You back Ten Hag. And I said, I do back Ten Hag. And that's why I'm pissed off with him, because he's made so many mistakes that it's going to cost him his job. And here we are, second game again. And I think Amrim's made a lot of mistakes. And I like Amrim. I want him to do well, but you can't just bury your head in the sand. He's making big mistakes and he needs to listen. Bruno is not a midfielder. Let's just say it straight away. And I think we need to have a grown-up conversation here, because I can't be bothered with Bruno's shit, Bruno's great, Player FC, Ricky FC, whatever. I can't be bothered with, that's not the conversation I'm having. And I don't think a lot of you are having this conversation. I think Bruno is our best player and he's being played out of position. There's a big difference between saying Bruno cost us the game today and saying Bruno's shit, sell him. He's a number 10 and he's playing at number 8. And I don't think he's a midfielder. And Amrim has to either stop doing it or prove us wrong. But in the 2 games we've played, he cost us the corner that Arsenal scored from, and he cost us the goal by not tracking Smith Rowe today. So in 2 games as a number 8, he's cost us 2 goals that have ultimately cost us points. In the first 2 games. This guy is not a midfielder. I don't expect him to be a midfielder. I can criticise him for being a bad midfielder, but he is not a midfielder. He is a number 10, and he's one of the best number 10s we've had at the club. So why is he playing as a number 8? Why is Ruben Amorim, who's only been in the Premier League for half a year, insisting on sticking a guy in the midfield who's not a midfielder? I remember Wayne Rooney being put in the midfield and everybody said he's not a midfielder. Why are we doing it? This is not about Bruno being shit. This is a grown-up conversation about a player being put out of position that is hurting the team. He's everywhere as well. There was a point in the second half, at the start of the second half, where he's at right back. That's bad discipline. You cannot play in the midfield with bad discipline, because bad discipline means that you leave your space, which causes problems, but then you occupy others' space, which causes them problems. So when he's on the right wing, he's in Ahmad's space or he's in Mbeumo's space and he's leaving his space. It has cost us a win today. Bruno Fernandes as a midfielder has cost us a win today. I would stick him as a number 10. And what I don't understand as well is when the midfield is so shit, why has Mainu not had 1 minute? Why is Mainu signing a new contract? If you're Mainu and you're sat there, you're going, I couldn't get into a Man United side last year that's the worst Man United side in Premier League history. And now I can't get in a Man United side. I haven't even had a minute in a team that's got a shit midfield. I mean, why not, when it goes to 1-1, why don't you bring Mainu on, put him next to Ugarte and put Bruno as a 10? If you don't want to take Bruno off because he's so brilliant, put him as a 10 and bring Mainu on. But no, this is weird. This is weird. I've seen managers do this before and it's weird. It goes beyond the plan of making Man United great again. It goes beyond logic and it starts to become a point of contention and stubbornness. And this Bruno thing in the midfield could long-term cause him big problems. Amorim I'm talking about, because I don't see this getting any better. It's a skill. It's a specialist position. When you watch Smith Rowe, and I didn't know, you can watch my reaction on the watch along. I don't know who's done it. I just said, when Smith Rowe's running away, who in the midfield has let him go? And it could have been Ugarte. And if it had been Ugarte, I'd say, what's going on with Ugarte? His confidence on the floor. When you see the replay, you see it's Bruno and you go, well, I'm not fucking surprised. I'm not surprised. This is, if you've ever played in midfield, it's one of the key skill sets you need. When you're on the edge of the box and one of their midfielders run, you've got to track them. Because as a centre-back, you can't track somebody who's already running when you're standing still. It has to be a midfielder, and he doesn't do it. And it costs us, well, it costs us a win. So, but it's completely on Amorim. Completely on Amorim. He's got that wrong. And also, just on that, very, very quickly, I think it's important to say that when we score the goal from Yoro, and let's not mess about, I don't think it's a foul. It's fortuitous because it's not going in and it hits Muniz. But when we get that goal from Yoro, there are, I don't know the exact amounts of minutes, but there is about 10 minutes where, maybe 15, where he keeps with Mount and Bruno in the midfield. After we get the goal, he sticks with Mount and Bruno in the midfield. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never heard anything more ridiculous than Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes as a midfield 2 in an away game in the Premier League. I've never heard anything as stupid as that. We're 1-0 up and we stick with Bruno and Mount as a midfield 2. As soon as that goal goes in, Ugarte needs to be on. Because what happens is, we go 1-0 up, and then for the next 10 minutes, our midfield is AWOL. It's nowhere. And Fulham, it's so bad, Brighton are beating us. And Fulham are coming right through us. And the momentum goes. We lose the momentum. And we never get the momentum back. Like, Šeško doesn't get any of the ball for the rest of the game. Because we lose them from 1-0 up, we lose momentum because we lose the midfield battle because we've got Mount and Bruno on. And even when Ugarte comes on, it's basically just a bloody emergency services job. He's blocking here, there and everywhere. There's no composure in our midfield ever again after 1-0. So look, that midfield's a massive problem. And this is why, talking about the transfer window very, very briefly, obviously we need a goalkeeper. We know that. But if we don't do something in the midfield, you're going to see a lot of games like that this season. A lot of games like that. It doesn't matter how good Cunha is. It doesn't matter how good Šeško is. It doesn't matter how good Mbeumo is. It doesn't matter how good Yoro is. It doesn't matter how good De Ligt is. If you've got a mint with a hole, you've got a hole in the middle. Polo FC. We have to get a midfielder in. It is a mess in there. And I don't think Casemiro is very good today either. Too slow. So we've got a massive problem in the midfield, and he has got to solve it. Also, I think you've got to say, with complete and utter honesty and clarity, because I want to have a grown-up conversation about this. I mean, the fan forum is going to be very interesting after this, and I will be watching it with my glass of red wine, because I want to listen to what they've got to say, and they may have different takes. But I think away from the mistakes that Amorim's made today, and I will just say as well, not only Bruno in the midfield, not only playing Mount and Bruno for 10 minutes, but also not starting a striker. I'm not going to get fooled by a couple of little flicks from Mount into Cunha in the first 5 minutes. For 85 minutes, it didn't work. We weren't a threat. He's got to start a striker. And you know what my biggest issue is, and it's going to be controversial? We have got a striker who had a pre-season, who we can still sell to Napoli, but he could have started a couple of games for us. Xerxes hasn't come off the bench yet, so he's clearly not fit. You could have used Rasmus today for an hour and then brought Šeško on. It didn't work. It doesn't work playing a false nine. We haven't scored a goal with a false nine. I think Šeško was on the pitch when Yoro scored. You need a striker on the pitch. We're too easy to play against without a striker. So that, to me, was a mistake as well. If Gyökeres, without a pre-season, can play 90 minutes for Arsenal in Game 2, why can't Šeško, who had more of a pre-season, play for 90 minutes for Manchester United? And I think that was a mistake as well. But that leads me into my third point. The biggest problem we have is that we're treating the first 3 games of the season like pre-season again. United, and you know I'm right. You know I'm right. I've heard some of you say it on the watch-along. United seem to think the first 3 games to the international break is pre-season. We do it every year. We don't think the season starts till the middle of September. We treat August like pre-season. We don't start a striker. We don't get a goalkeeper. We don't get a midfielder. We're trying stuff out. Oh, let's try Delo at right wing back. Oh, to me, let's try Ahmad. Oh, to you, let's bring Delo on. Let's try Mount and Bruno as a midfield too, and leave Mainu on the bench and not use him. Oh, let's try a false 9. Let's put Binder in goal. Let's not get a goalkeeper. We're not ready for this season. I said this on one of the summer shows. I said, no matter what happens now, we're not going to be ready for the start of the season because we haven't got the players that we need. And it's been proven. We're not ready for the start of the season. Again, we weren't ready 2 years ago when we had to go and get Anthony and Casemiro because we lost our first 2 games of the season. We weren't ready last season because De Ligt and Mazraoui didn't come in till a couple of days before the first game of the season, and Agate came in before the international break. We weren't ready the year before when we didn't bring Ronaldo in until just before September. We're not ready. We're not ready for this season. We've got a second choice goalkeeper in goal because we can't get rid of Onana. We've got bloody Bruno and Mount playing in the midfield. We're not starting our £70 million striker. No matter how you dress it up, we're not ready for this season. We're just not ready for it. And we're losing points because of it. We lost to Arsenal. We've lost 2 points today. We've dropped 5 points in our first 2 games because we're not ready. And how many times are we going to keep saying to the owners of this football club, it's important to get business done early because it directly impacts the points you get at the start? We've dropped 5 points. We should have 4. We've got 1. Should have drawn last week and won today. And people talk about 5th place or Europe. We're dropping too many points already. And the scary thing is, I remember us talking about how, worst case scenario, we might have 4 points from our first 15. Draw against Fulham, beat Burnley, lose to Arsenal, Man City and Chelsea. Well, if we don't get something out of Man City and Chelsea, we're going to have 4 points from 15, and we're going to be down near the relegation zone after 5 games. So the pressure's on, the shine is gone, and this is where we are now. It's a concern. It's a concern. We're going to do the player ratings, but I want to just catch some of your comments because there's a lot coming in. Bruno is not focused, especially in this game. We took 2 energetic players off. Mount was our best player, and after that, gone. Says David. There is nothing that makes me think Amrin will succeed. No improvement whatsoever, and performance and results keep going downhill. Sack is inevitable, says Jose. In order for this reset to actually work, Bruno, Delo and Luke Shaw need to go, says Vacation. Look, Amrim's not in any danger. We've got to resist that. I said at the start of the season that for me, our season doesn't really start till game 10. From game 10 to game 30, we've only had 2. So we've got to resist this urge to start following the Amrim out movement, which the media and some of our fan base will start. We've got to resist that. What we can do is call out the mistakes. His obsession with Bruno Fernandes in the midfield is a danger to his future. And he needs to realise it, because you can't teach an old dog new tricks. How can one of the Premier League's best number 10s suddenly become Declan Rice? You know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what we're asking him to do. Ridiculous. 2 games in and I still don't see any service to Šeško. Same old United, says NL. The amount of work this shape requires to defend and attack is too inefficient. Too many players have to be informed for it to work, says Aditya. I hate the zero adaptability. Change to 4-3-3 sometimes, says Matthew. He said he wanted an athletic midfielder. He knows we have an issue, so why did they go for Baleba, who's not available and not a viable target? This is on the club as well, says Shan. And I think that's a great point as well. You can have a pop at Amrim. He is wrong today in relation to his obsession around the midfield. But let's not forget, he has said publicly he wants a midfielder. The club have to deliver a midfielder. You can't watch games and say, don't get a midfielder. Bruno's mind looks off. He looks distracted. The team fared worse when Agate entered the fray. Our midfield needs to be sorted, says Yuv. No, 1-1 needing a win. Double centre-back change, says Jordan. You buy striker, might as well provide him service, says Joshua. Why are people already saying Amrim out? He doesn't have all the players. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous, Frederick, but I told you that will start. Bruno, I think today Amrim deserves heavy criticism. The decisions were silly, and I can't be arsed seeing another manager dying on a hill for his favourites, says Come. Jamie says, load of shite. Bruno wasted in the midfield. Sesko receives it fuck all, and we moaned about Rasmus. They can't do anything if they ain't being passed to. Jamie, I like Šeško. I feel we haven't signed him yet. We've done absolutely nothing for him in the minutes he's been on the pitch so far. Welcome to the graveyard shift. Amiro, Bruno, Delo and goalkeeper out, says Akil. Buying a midfielder won't change the fact that Bruno will still be one of the 2, says Azur. A full week to prepare and solve things, and yet we can't play football, says Hassan. Time to take the captaincy off Bruno, give it to Delit, says OTG. Playing a cam in a 2-man midfield pivot is crazy. Man thinks he's still in Portugal. We are doomed. Grimsby's going to take us to penalties, says NSP. Last 10 Premier League games, 1 win. Bruno, 90 minutes today is questionable, says Dino. You're absolutely right. He's not an 8, and Bruno himself knows we basically have 4 number 10s, says Alo. Can we have an 8 p.m. show, says Michael? Well, it pretty much will be an 8 o'clock show because the fan forum's straight after this. When Ollie started McFred in that season opener against Leeds after the Europa League final, I was Ollie out. Will Bruno be the catalyst for Amrim out, says Michael? I fear that Bruno as captain feels responsible to pick up the team when they aren't playing well, and it's causing him to lose discipline, says Chris. 3-4-2-1 system won't work because of Bruno. Bad call, says JB. Get on the phone to Saudi and Brighton tonight, says Ginger Red 68. Andrews says Bruno's body language is pathetic. Amrim is not looking when Bruno is taking a penalty. When Fulham takes corners, what kind of confidence playing members of team would have? Bruno never gets subbed as well, says Andrews. Why does Bruno always nag and make a victim of face on the pitch? Happens nearly every game. This is terrible to come from team captain and ruins team morale, says Carolina. Delo is terrible, says MVB Pete. Sell Bruno and rebuild the midfield, says Evan. You know what? I've just got to jump in here. You know, this whole sell Bruno and rebuild the midfield, I feel like it's an echo. Did we not discuss this at the start of June and the club decided not to do it? I mean, we are where we are. We can't change that. We had an opportunity to do it. Some of us said do it. We didn't do it. And now people are saying do it. Like, it's gone. It's gone. That's why we said if the plan is to play Bruno as an 8, take the 100 million, rebuild the team. And here we are. After 2 games going, This is why we said it. It's so annoying. It's almost like everybody bloody knew. We have too many 10s in a system that doesn't play with a 10. We're back to playing a 5-2-3-1, says Alex. Bruno out of position doesn't explain his bad set pieces, says Anthony. But he always wants to hit a long ball as well. You know, if you're going to play in the midfield, in that midfield too, I would love to see Mainu and even Agate, because just play the ball into Cunha's feet. In the first 5 minutes, we're playing the ball into Cunha's feet and we're dangerous. For the next hour, we're hitting 50-yard balls out to the fucking left back again. I mean, I'm bored to shit of it. Get the ball into Cunha's feet. We're hitting long balls for Mbeumo. Get the ball into Mbeumo's feet. This is what they did at Brighton and Wolves. Do we not look at what made these players good? We're still hitting diagonal 60-yard balls to the left back in 2025. It didn't work 6 years ago. Bruno out of position doesn't explain his bad set pieces. No minutes for Mainu, 2 games in a row, says Bobby. Bruno's got no discipline in any position. Haven't we learned this for 5 years? He's the new Pogba. Look, he's just a number 10, Ankit. If you play as a number 10, you can free roam. But you can't free roam as a midfield pivot. Shit show, Bruno wasted in midfield, says Jamie. I just want Bruno to play as a 10. I like Bruno. I think he's a good player. Just play him as a fucking number 10. But we can't do it now because we spent 120 million on 2 number 10s and we've also got Mount, Xerxes and Ahmad. We've got too many number 10s. Team already looks deflated and uninspired, and I think this is the worry, Marlow. The reality bite is dangerous to a Manchester United player's mentality. That reality bite that it's not a new shiny toy, that we're not back, that we can be beaten, that we can play shit. It's a scary thought. Delo needs to go as well, says Stig. If he don't play at 10, he should be on the bench, says Stephen. Rashford got Ten Hag sacked, and Bruno is going to get Amrim sacked, says NL. Bruno penalty miss, his head drops and negativity spreads through the team, says Joshua. Bruno wasn't that good last week either, says Caleb. Why do our wing-backs refuse to cross into Šeško, says Evan. Not good enough at all today, says Arad. We only played well in the first 10 minutes of the game, and that penalty miss was criminal. With Cunha, Mbeumo and Mount, we're safe to sell Bruno now. Also, I hope there's no issue with Mainu behind the scenes, says Arif. Why would you sign a new contract? Bruno's a good player, but he's out of position, says Edgar. Blame Amrim, 100%. Completely agree. Same Groundhog Day with the midfield, says Irfan. And I like Amrim and I do want him to do well, but 7 wins in 29 games since he came in says it all, says Sam. I knew United would play like this after that Arsenal match. I feel sorry for Rasmus, and now look, everyone will be blaming Šeško. The service is shit, says Ahmed. In my opinion, this team won't progress with Bruno, says Leslie. Stop the yapping. It's obvious Amrim is trash, says Cats for Life. If Šeško starts, he will get service. Someone for the 10s to bounce the ball off. As a focal point, says Jack B. Jonathan says Amrim's not cut out for the league. Let's going wild and play players in their actual position, says Pete Phillips. Amrim's love affair with Bruno is pissing me off. Why is he afraid to sub him off, says Mike. We don't press as a team and the passing is too slow, says Stephen. How can you play this bad when you're playing just a game a week, says Mojo. Could have had Belaber and a keeper with the 100 million, says Druv. I think Bruno is a liability in the midfield. He's not a proper midfielder, says Nalam. We forget that Amrim is a young and inexperienced manager and he needs to learn quick, says Random Guy. Keel says, is Amrim a chancer? When United Stand goes to the press conference, can you ask other team doing training to service the attacker, says Mud. We should accept Al Ittihad's Bruno bid. Well, they haven't put one in, Uriel. Free Mainu, says TXP. All these number 10s and we've got no attacking threats, says Kieran. Bruno can't play this position, time to sell. A lot of it's about Bruno. I think we'll do the player ratings. I think we've said enough about Bruno, if I'm being honest. Thanks to everyone who's putting their comments in. Look, what I will say is the Amrim out stuff is ridiculous, really. It's stupid. You know, it's game 2. And we can't be sacking another manager. I mean, if you want to... We had a grown-up conversation about Amrim. About Bruno. Let's have a grown-up conversation about Amrim. He's just had £200 million spent on him. We can't keep doing this. You can't keep spending hundreds of millions of pounds of play on a manager and then sacking them before Christmas. We've got to stick with this. You know, we have to stick with this. It's absolutely essential that we do that. Because we're in huge debt. we're building a team for an Amorim system and then the next manager won't play it. So, you know, if we start with the Amorim out movement at the start of another season, I'd despair. Some people have, you've got a right to make your own mind up, but I would resist it. I would resist it because I think it's, what we need to do is instead of going after a manager and saying Amorim out, we've got to make it vocal about the mistakes he's making. He's got to sort his midfield out. He's got to take midfield. He's got to take Bruno out the midfield. It's a fucking disaster. That's what he needs to do. Let's do the player ratings. Mark every player out of 10, 6 being the average. One moment. Let me get the player ratings. Here we go. If you haven't done your player ratings, you can register through the link in the video description or in the live chat. Mark every player out of 10, 6 being the average, and you're set up for the season. So, Bayinda today, I would say a 5 from me. Same as last week. I thought he was okay in relation to his distribution and his shot stopping. He made a good stop from that one-on-one, the volley from Iwobi. But on corners, he's got all the composure of a fucking baby deer on ice. Bambi on ice. He's absolutely terrible when it comes to crosses. So it's below average for me. Didn't cost us a goal, but easily could have done. So, yeah. Yoro's going to be my man of the match with a 7. I thought the tackle when the Fulham player King ran through was absolutely brilliant. Recovery, pace, and composure. And he scored a really good goal as well. So, well, he didn't score a good goal, but he got us the goal. So I think he deserves man of the match. 7 for me. And De Ligt was flawless again. I would give him a 7. I thought he was very, very good, but I'd give man of the match to Yoro. So I think those two played really, really well. And again, are very fortunate to be on a team that didn't on a team that didn't win again. I think they've both done their jobs very, very well, and they are probably the biggest sparks of positivity in the team at the moment, Yoro and De Ligt. I mean, it's almost like, shall I say it? Oh, God, I'll say it. It's almost like if we played with a back 4, we'd be sorted with those two as centre-backs. But we're not going to play a back 4 because we're playing with Amorim's 3-4-3. But De Ligt and Yoro as a centre-back pairing would be absolutely fine. But we haven't got a manager that does that. And I'm not saying we should do that, but Yoro and De Ligt as a centre-back pairing would be very, very good, I think. Luke Shaw, 5.5. Yeah, he was okay in the first half, and he faded badly in the second half. So I'd give him a 5.5. Ahmad's probably a 5, to be honest with you. All I'm going to say about Ahmad is that, for me, Ahmad last season was one of our best attacking players. He's now having to play as a right back. In the Sporting system, I get it. It's basically wingers. But in a Man United system, you're basically a right wing back. He's been playing as a number 10 last season. He's now playing as a right back. It ain't good enough. You know, it's a waste. He's got to learn, but we're just. I will say this. I never expected us to buy Mbeumo. I thought it would be one number 10 and that's it. Because I looked at it, I went, well, you've got Ahmad who can play there, Xerxes who can play there, Mount who can play there, and Bruno who can play there, and you only need 2. We've just got too many number 10s. Casemiro, again, I thought he was below par. Just miles and miles off the pace. For a player on 350k a week, who used to be one of the best holding midfielders in the world, I mean, he just doesn't impact the game, does he? So 5 for me. Bruno, 5. Yeah, I mean, look, I like Bruno, so I don't like giving it. I mean, look, honestly, you could give it a 4 if you wanted to. I just think I want to be balanced in the sense that if you put him as a number 10, he probably has a good game. Honestly, it was a 4, but I just want to make it clear that the real culprit is the manager for doing it for 90 minutes. 90 minutes. But the penalty was crap, and the overall performance was crap. It was a very bad performance, and the only reason I'm giving it a 5 is because he's a good player out of position in my mind. Dorgu, it's got to be a 5. I thought he started well, and then he started really well for 5 minutes, and then just didn't get him on the ball. Didn't get him on the ball at all. And Burmo, probably a 5.5. I agree. Yeah. I mean, the worrying thing is that we've already seen that a new signing can play bad, and that just is so sad. It's way too early to start saying he's a bad signing or any nonsense that Prats will start talking about. But he didn't have a good game. He didn't have a good game. Mount, actually, I thought was okay. I actually thought Mount was a 6.5. I don't really know where he fits into the team. He's everywhere and nowhere. I mean, he's not a midfielder. He's certainly not a false 9. And I don't know where he's going to play as a 10. But in fairness to him, there was moments of good play. And it's nice to see him fit, but I don't know where he fits into the team. Cunha, again, I'd say 6.5. Just get the ball to Cunha. I said it after the first 5 minutes. Get the ball into Cunha's feet. And I don't know. I did want to say this. Do you think there is a bit of an ego battle going on in that team? Like, to me, at Wolves, you get the ball into Cunha. And he's the star of the team. At Man United, it feels like we'll give the ball to Cunha sometimes, but I want to switch the play to the right back and hit a 60-yard Hollywood pass. Or we'll try and get the ball long behind Mbeumo. And I'm like, just get the ball into Cunha. You know when we had that first 5 minutes and he hit the post and there was that ball from Binder and the good save from Leno, and then he had that shot just over the bar at the start. I remember saying it in the chat, just get the ball to Cunha. That's it. Just get the ball to Cunha. But I do wonder in our team whether that simple message isn't going to work. Because when Bruno gets the ball, he doesn't want to just play a 5-yard pass to Cunha. Is there too many cooks? You know, I suppose that's what I'm saying. Have we got too many number 10s on the pitch who it's overcomplicating it? Because really it should be get the ball into Cunha's feet. And again, and again, and again. But we've got too many other players that want to do something else. Delo, yeah, definitely a 5. Below average when he came on. I mean, Sesko's a 5, but again, can I just say, I've said this to so many times with strikers. What is he supposed to do with no service? It was a 5. Let's be honest, it was below average. But what is he supposed to do with no service? I've said it so many times about Cavani, Rashford, Martial, Ronaldo, Rasmus. Like, they can have bad games off their own shoulders, but that's a bad game based on nothing. Nothing. I mean, somebody in the chat just said 5 is wild. Well, you don't understand football then, do you? I'm not criticising the lad. I'm saying, how can he have an average performance when he's isolated and starved for half an hour? He wasn't in the game. He wasn't in the game for me. I mean, give him a 6. I'm happy to give him a 6. But what I'm saying is, if that's going to be how we're going to treat him, then we may as well have kept £70 million in our bank. You've got to give him... Strikers thrive on service. And if you don't give them service, they end up having a below-average game, and it's not their fault. I remember this happening with Ronaldo loads of times, getting 5 out of 10, 4.5 out of 10, and you sat there going, Ronaldo's not a bad player. He's just not getting any service, you know? I thought Ugarte was okay, 5.5 for me. But the midfield battle had been lost when he came on anyway. Maguire wasn't on long enough. 5 or 6, whatever. Amorim today, look, honestly, 4. You know, let's be real. This manager has our backing. The intelligent fans back him. But part of a healthy relationship is honesty. I always say that the Garnachos and Sanchos and Antonys of this world are pampered mercenaries who don't live in the real world because they're surrounded by people who don't give them the truth. We can't pamper Amorim. I want him to do well, but we've got to be honest. For his own good, we've got to be honest. You don't have to live in this extremity world of Amorim in and Amorim out. I'm firmly Amorim in, but that's a 4 out of 10 today. And he's got to listen to the feedback. The message has got to be, sort your midfield out, sort your goalkeeper out, and we'll do better. But also, stop using Bruno in the midfield. If you want Bruno in the team, you'll have to drop Cunha or Mbeumo. You cannot put Bruno in the midfield unless you're going to get this superstar midfielder, which we haven't got. So you either get the superstar midfielder and show us why it'll work with Bruno, or you stop using him in the midfield. We've got to get hold of the midfield. It's the oldest rule in the game. Games are won and lost in the midfield. And at the moment, our midfield is costing us games, and it will continue to do it. And he is responsible for that, no doubt. You know what? To finish on a positive, we didn't lose. And you know what? That first 5 minutes was some of the best football I've seen us play. It was crisp, it was quick, it did happen. It wasn't a dream, but it was short-lived. And you know, if Cunha scores that goal that goes in off the post, we might be sat here going, we're cooking, we're back, we've won 3-0. Football is about fine margins, but when you don't take your chances and you don't keep the consistency up, the frailties get exposed, and that's what we saw. Man of the match, I'll be stunned, 83%, Lenny Yoro. De Ligt, second place with 9%. He deserves that, Lenny Yoro today. Definitely man of the match. We didn't lose. You know, we didn't lose, and we have got Burnley and Grimsby to come. Hopefully we can score some goals and kick on a bit, because we've then got Man City and Chelsea. But I'm disappointed not to win today, because losing last week and knowing that we've got Man City and Chelsea on the horizon, it just leaves you feeling a little bit concerned, doesn't it? But, you know, it is what it is. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I am going to be watching the fan forum with you. Very interested. Sometimes, you know what? I just think the fan forum is great. But sometimes I just think it's so interesting when you have a result like that as to how they're going to talk about it. So very interested. Thank you everybody for watching. Take care. I'll speak to you on the next one. Get yourself over to the fan forum. Let's spam the chat with Bruno No 8.